and a very warm welcome to a rather extraordinary Burns Supper online for the University of Aberdeen Bursary Fund for Students, which is part of their 525 campaign. I'm Fiona Kennedy, and I'm here at home in Aberdeenshire and have a long association with the university. I'm absolutely delighted to celebrate the life and work of Robert Burns with wonderful guests to entertain you, wherever you may be. Everyone involved has filmed their marvellous contributions in their own homes, so hopefully you'll have a dram by your side and a supper like no other. All great Scottish gatherings have wonderful ingredients: music, bagpipes, drams, drama, and of course food. A Burns supper is unique, and we have a veritable feast of guest performers. It's my great pleasure now to welcome our Principal and Vice-Chancellor, Professor George Boyne, to give his personal welcome to you all this evening.
I'd like to echo Fiona's welcome to our extraordinary Burns Supper and to thank everyone for joining us for this special event to raise funds for a 525 bursary fund. The fund was created to support students who are facing financial hardship due to the ongoing pandemic, and has been very helpful to those who require assistance. The entire university community has responded admirably to the many challenges we've faced over the last year. I'm very proud of what we've achieved by working together and the support that we've provided to our students, each other, and the communities and organisations around us. Similarly, our students have made individual and collective efforts over the last year, which gives me a great sense of pride. The willingness of almost everyone to behave in ways that comply with COVID guidelines and thereby safeguard themselves and others has been exemplary. With COVID-19 vaccines now being rolled out, there is real hope and expectation that the current crisis will begin to subside, and the life and work of the university can gradually start returning to something more normal. In the meantime, we continue to fulfill our 1495 foundational purpose of being open to all and dedicated to the pursuit of truth in the service of others. Tonight's Burns Supper provides welcome respite from our current trying times, and it's right we take a moment to celebrate Scotland's greatest poet on the anniversary of his birth in 1759. I'd like to thank everyone who has worked to produce this event, and I hope you enjoy the performances and readings we have for you. In a moment, the University of Aberdeen Chamber Choir, conducted by Professor Paul Mealer, will perform a Burns song, "Charlie is My Darling." Before we join the choir, please join me in a toast to Scotland's national bard, Rabbie Burns.
Charlie is my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie is my darling, the young Chevrolet. Oh, Charlie is my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie is my darling, the young Chevrolet. 'Twas on a Monday morning, my darling, my darling. Charlie came to us on the young Chevrolet. My darling, Charlie is my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie is my darling, the young Chevrolet. My darling. Walking up the street, the city court. My darling, oh, let me spy my darling as the wind may be through. Oh, Charlie is my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie is my darling, the young Chevrolet. So lights he jumped upon the stairs, turned down the pale, and was he really as he stepped in let the party in the mill. Charlie is my darling, my darling, my darling. Charlie is my darling, the young Chevrolet.
Wonderful singing from the chamber choir conducted by Professor Paul Mealer. Now, on or about the 25th of January, in every corner of the world, the life and work of Scotland's national poet Robert Burns is celebrated annually at Burns Suppers. As far as I know, there are no ongoing traditions like this for Shakespeare, Tolstoy or Brecht, but here we are joyfully reflecting on the life, work, songs and music of an extraordinary man who was born to humble farming folk in 1759 in Alloway in Ayrshire. He may have only lived for 37 years, but boy, he packed a huge amount into his life, writing, collecting poems, songs, music and taxes. And don't forget the lassies. By all accounts, he loved a dram, a party, a song and good food. And so do we. I'm going to hand over now to multi-award winning chef, restaurateur and all-round good person, Craig Wilson, also known as the Kilted Chef, to give us his twist on an extraordinary Burns supper.
Hello, my name's Craig Wilson, the Kilted Chef, and I'm here in my restaurant Eat on the Green in rural Aberdeenshire. And we have taken the kitchen to the bar to come up with a real treat for this Burns night. So we've got the haggis, snapes and tatties as normal, but in the pan we've got some nice vegetarian haggis. I've chopped up some fresh chilli, a splash of Scottish rapeseed oil and a few sprigs of fresh thyme. And it's like haggis, snapes and tatties like no other. I have some local mashed tatties into the glass, and of course we have our chappit nips into the glass. And the most important of all, we have the lovely spicy haggis. Haggis in a glass with a sprig of thyme. Hope you enjoy it.
It's usual to begin a Burns supper with what's called the Selkirk Grace. Now, probably Robert Burns didn't write the grace, but he used it at a dinner given by the Earl of Selkirk. And so here it is. Some hay meat, but cannot eat, and some would eat, but wanted. Now we hay meat and we can eat, and say the Lord be thanked.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Stephen. I'm a broadcaster for BBC Radio Scotland and I live in rural Aberdeenshire. Sadly, I am not an alumni of Aberdeen University, but my wife was, which explains why 39 years ago this October we were married in King's College Chapel, which was absolutely lovely. I'm a big fan of Robert Burns and I really enjoy doing this poem. When you think about his upbringing, what he had to eat on a normal basis probably wouldn't have been that interesting. Tatties, meal, root vegetables, maybe the odd bit of mutton or beef, but that would have been unusual. So something like a haggis, with its rich, complex tastes, with its spices, would have seemed to him like an exotic island in a grey, monotonous sea of fare, which may explain why he wrote this address to the haggis and why it's done in every Burns supper all the way around the world. And it goes like this. Fair fa, thy honest, sonsy face, great chieftain of the puddin' race, a been the ma you tak your place, pinch, tripe or therm, wheel o' the wordy o' a grace, as lang's my erm. The groaning trencher there you fill, your hurdies like a distant hill, your pen would serve to mend a mill in time of need. And through your pores, the dews distill, like amber bead. His knife, not much of a knife that, is it? Hang on. that's a knife. His knife, see rustic labour dicht, and cut you up wi' ready slecht, trenching your gushing entrails brecht like ony ditch. And then, what a glorious sight, warm, reeking, rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, deal tak the hornmost on they drive, till other wheel swelt kites belive are bent like drums, an auld guid man maist like to rive. Bethanked hums. Is there that o'er his French a ragout, or olio would stab a sou, or fricassee would make you spew? A perfect scunner looks down on sneering scornful view on sic a dinner. Peer devil, see him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spindle shank a guid whip lash, his knave a net, o'er bloody flood and field to dash. Oh, how unfit, but mark the rustic, haggis fed. The trembling earth resounds his tread, clapping his wally neva blade. You mak it whistle, and arms and heads and legs will sned, like taps o' thistle. Ye powers, wha mak mankind your care, and dish it up its bill of fare. Scotland wants nae skinking ware that joups in luggies. But if ye wish her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. As we say in my corner of the world, stick in till you stick out. Bon appetit. You finish yours, I'll finish mine.
My name is Iona Ray and I graduated from the University of Aberdeen last year in 2020. As I was a music student, I spent a lot of my time singing in various different choirs and ensembles and was given some amazing opportunities and met some wonderful people. Today I'm going to be singing the famous Robert Burns song, A Rosebud by My Early Walk. A rosebud by my early walk, adorn a corn enclosed book, say gently bent its thorny stalk, alone a joy morning. It was the shades o' dawn fled, in light's crimson glory spread, and dropping rich the joy had, it sends the early morning. Within the bush a carved nest, a little linnet fondly pressed, the dew sat chilly on her breast, say early in the morning, she soon shall see her tender brood, the pride, the pleasure o' the wood, among the fresh green leaves bedewed, awake the early morning. So thou, dear bird, young Jeanie fair, on trembling wing of vocal air, shall sweetly pay the tender care that tends the early morning. So the sweet rosebud, young and gay, shall beauteous blaze upon the day, and bless the parents' evening ray that watch the early morning.
Hi, I'm Georgia May Drennan and I'm in my final year of studying English literature and French at the University of Aberdeen. The thought of leaving home at 17 was really daunting, but I very quickly settled into student life at the University of Aberdeen.
You used to call it Aberdeen.
Yes, I did. This is my dad George, who has worked with the fabulous Fiona Kennedy many times over the years on the Nae Ordinary Burns Suppers.
I'm still looking forward to being part of the extraordinary Burns Supper.
So tonight, as a tribute to the University of Aberdeen and to Burns, we give you
A man's a man for all that.
Is there for honest poverty that hangs his head and all that? The cured slave we pass him by, we door be poor for all that, and all that. Our toils obscure and all that. The rank is but the guinea's stamp, the man's the gout for all that.
You see on Birkie the Lord was struts and stairs and all that. Though hunters worship at his word, he's but a coof for all that, and all that. His ribbon star and all that. The man of independent mind, he looks and laughs at all that.
Then let us pray that come it may, as come it will for all that, that sense and worth o'er all the earth shall bear the gree and all that, for all that and all that. It's coming yet for all that, that man to man the world that shall brothers be for all that.
A fond kiss, and then we sever. A farewell, and then forever. Deep in hurt-wrung tears I'll pledge thee, warring sighs and groans I'll wage thee. Who shall say that fortune grieves him, while the star of hope she leaves him? Me, nay, cheerful twinkle lights me. Dark despair around benights me. I'll ne'er blame my partial fancy, naething could resist my Nancy, but to see her was to love her, love but her and love forever. Had we ne'er loved sae kindly, had we never loved sae blindly, never met nor never parted, we had never been broken-hearted. Fare thee well, thou first and fairest, fare thee well, thou best and dearest. Thine be ilka joy and treasure, peace, enjoyment, love and pleasure. A fond kiss, and then we sever. A farewell, alas, forever. Deep in hurt-wrung tears I'll pledge thee, warring sighs and groans I'll wage thee.
Wee, sleekit, coorin, timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic's in thy breastie. Thou needna start a wassy hasty, wi bickering brattle. I would be laith to rin and chase thee, wi murdering battle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doubt na whiles but thou may thieve. What then, poor beastie? Thou maun live. A daemon eker in a thrave's a sma' request. I'll get a blessing wi' the lave, and never missed. Thy wee bit hoosie too in ruin. Its silly was the winds are strewing, and naething new to big a new ane, o foggage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing, baith snell and keen. Thou saw the fields laid bare and wast, and weary winter coming fast, and cosy here beneath the blast thou thought to dwell, till crash the cruel coulter passed out through thy cell. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee mony a weary nibble. Now thou's turned out for a' thy trouble, but house or hald, to thole the winter's sleety dribble and cranrich cald. But Moosie, thou art no thy lane, in proving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang after gley, and lay us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still, thou art blessed compared wi' me. The present only toucheth thee. But och, I backward cast my e'e on prospects drear, and forward, though I canna see, I guess and fear.
Hello, my name is Peter McPherson, and I would just like to wish you a very happy Burns night. This is My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose.
Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like a melody so sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till the seas gang dry, till the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. Still I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. So fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well awhile, and I will come again, my love, though 'twere 10,000 miles. o'er 10,000 miles.
Our next guest is the wonderful Jim Brown, who hails from Fetter Cairn, a beautiful little village in Aberdeenshire. He's a multifaceted gentleman whose working life has included being a teacher, an estate factor, and a grain merchant. And now, at the right young age of 75, is a student at the University of Aberdeen, studying for a master's degree in ethnology at the Elphinstone Institute. You just can't hold this man back. Jim is a great admirer of Robert Burns as a wordsmith, and here he is with his take on 4 words from Tam O'Shanter.
Robert Burns. Burns is an unsurpassed master of spontaneous wordsmithing. For example, "Per toer tale, market nicht, Tam got planted uncorrect. Fast by an ingle, bleezing finely, wi' reaming swats that drank divinely, and by his elbow, Suitor Johnny, his ancient, trusty, drouthy crony. Tam looed him like a very brother, they had been fou for weeks together." It was that scene and these glorious lines that drew me fast as a young man, striving to be a grown-up man, to understand and appreciate poetry. It brought a cultural legitimacy to my Saturday night pub conviviality and rural fellowship. Burns has created in that sma but observant poetic genius the perfect prelude to one of the most legendary and haunted and fearful horse journeys in the history of literature, and brought provenance to the hallucinatory and phantasmagoric powers of Scotland's greatest product, whisky. He has conceived the 2 greatest literary characters to grace a page of paper, greater than Dr. Zhivago, more memorable than Oliver Twist, more clever than Sherlock Holmes, more suave than James Bond, more Scottish than Oor Willie, a real precursor to the inimitable Rab C. Nesbitt. For sheer Scottish chauvinism, dedication to drinking duty, the preservation of traditional male fellowship, my BAFTA, my Oscar, my Nobel Prize goes to Tam O'Shanter and Suitor Johnny. They were and are pivotal, important examples of a great, threatened Scottish breed that should merit the attention of Greenpeace and David Attenborough. Let us, for the sake of international literary understanding, examine these Fowler Burns' well-chosen epithets: ancient, trusty, drouthy, crony. Ancient, this does not mean now and again, see you sometime, cheerio the new sort of pals. Ancient is full on, blood brothers, they are the 2 jock musketeers, 2 par un per 2, un totally fou, baith totally fou, un for 2 and 2 for 1. This union has lasted for the beginning of time and will survive till eternity. Trusty, far beyond the pale and pasty loyal, devoted, constant, reliable, dependable. Nah, trusty is total commitment. Fits yours as mine, fits mine as yours. I would trust you with my own wife. You're better than a brother. I would hang for you. I would gie my last penny. Eternal and unequivocal stand togetherness. Drouthy, fit a word. It oozes days in the desert, the sun beating on your thrapple, a dry sponge reaching out for water, then the miracle of unabated alcohol. Thirsty would be totally inadequate. Thirsty, a trifle dry, is for the Beaujolais Brigade. A drouthy man never takes his eye off the focus. The only threat to his drouth is the ever-dwindling pub stocks and the hands of a landlord's watch. Crony, the supreme word of eternal friendship, has been stolen and raped by conniving politicians and councillors. Cronyism to them is to fraudulently and blatantly put public money into their family of friends' pooches. But Burns kent that crony was derived from the Greek cronios, meaning long standing friend. Crony is far more than coming out for a drink tonight, Thomas. Far more. It seems like a fortnight since I last saw you last night. Ancient, trusty, drouthy crony. Burns understood life, and I had the right words. I appeal to you to accept Robert Burns' weaknesses, but to admire his huge talent, and I always feel privileged that he was born in Scotland, chose to abide in Scotland, wrote in Scotland about Scotland, and chose to write in his native Scots language, but with a message that was universal. His take on life was nae treasures nor pleasures could mak us happy lang. The heart's eye, the pert eye, that makes us recht or wrong. Raise your glasses as I give you the greatest toast to them all, Robert Burns. Robert Burns.
Thank you, Jim. You're some guy. I'm going to sing one of my favourite Burns songs, I Walk an O, first published in 1790. Summer's a pleasant time, flowers of every colour, the water runs o'er the heugh, and I long for my true lover. I walk in home, walking still and weary, sleep I can get nae, for thinking of my dearie. I walk in home. When I sleep I dream, when I wake I'm eerie, sleep I can get nae, for thinking of my dearie. I walk in home, walking still and weary, sleep I can get nae, for thinking of my dearie. I walk in Lonely night comes in, and all the lave are sleeping. I think on my bonny lad, and my eyes they blur wi' weeping. I walk in home, walking still and weary, sleep I can get nae, for thinking of my dearie. I walk in home.
Hello there, my name's John Bett, and I'm an actor, writer, director, and over the years I've done many shows with Fiona Kennedy, particularly in this context, an annual event which she christened a Nae Ordinary Bun Supper. This salute to Burns usually takes place in the Beach Ballroom in Aberdeen. It's not happening this January, but over the years it has featured many luminaries from the University of Aberdeen. Professor Paul Miller, Dr. John Frederick Hudson, Ian Milne, Sam Paul, and of course many undergraduates from different disciplines who were members of the chamber or the chapel choirs. So as a thank you to them and a salute to the university, it is a great pleasure for me to take part in this extraordinary bun supper. Auld Lang Syne, of course, is the international anthem of friendship, and as Fiona said in her introduction, Burns is global. His work has been translated and has travelled to every country in the world. But what of the poet himself? Was he a traveller? Well, he nearly went to Jamaica once. Yes, his bags were packed, his kist was aboard ship, when he heard the news that a book of his poems was to be published, in what was later known as the Kilmarnock edition. So you see, the printing of his poems prevented our national bard from becoming a bookkeeper on a slave plantation in the West Indies. A rare example of fortune smiling on the life of Robert Burns. Did he travel anywhere else? Well, he went to Edinburgh, of course, where he was the hit of the literary salons there. A 15-year-old Walter Scott witnessed him and wrote of him this: "His eyes, I never saw such eyes in the head of another human being. They were of a dark cast, black, and glowed, literally glowed, when he spoke with intensity and feeling." Well, no wonder Burns was such a hit with the lassies, eh? Did he travel anywhere else? He did a tour of the borders, and he went to Newcastle once, and also in England, Carlisle once. He did 2 tours of the Highlands, mostly on horseback, on his mare, Jenny Geddes. And did he visit Aberdeen? Yes, he did. Once, on September the 9th, 1787. And there he met with a printer, a poet, a priest, well, a bishop, and 2 professors. So you see, even then, Aberdeen University came top of the list. In his journal, Burns recorded this impression of the city: a lazy town. Well, Aberdeen, you've certainly pulled your socks up since then. Sláinte.
35 years ago, I left the shores of the Gambia, West Africa, to come and study medicine here in Aberdeen. I was offered a British Council scholarship because my parents, frankly, could not educate me any further. They couldn't afford it. I was given 2 days' notice to leave the Gambia on British Caledonian. I arrived here at Gatwick Airport, looked out the plane, it looked beautiful, pure white. And then the doors opened. For someone who spent 19 years in 100 degrees Fahrenheit every day, this was the worst experience I could have imagined. It was as if somebody had opened a deep freezer and dropped me in it and said, "This is your life going forward." Thankfully, I did not catch the next plane back home to the Gambia. Instead, I stuck it out. And what made it easier was the environment in Aberdeen, in the university. The staff, students were so welcoming. And of course, I fell in love. And that also makes it a little bit easier. But I appreciate that if I didn't have a scholarship, I wouldn't be here today. And I also appreciated at that time that vulnerable students were not just from Africa. There were vulnerable students here in Scotland, here in the UK, that would have struggled no end without a bursary from the University of Aberdeen. So I understand the importance of the Aberdeen University bursary scheme. And so when Fiona called me to ask to participate, Well, firstly, I was a little bit anxious about what she was going to ask. I was worried she was going to ask me to sing or to recite Burns. So I was delighted that it was neither of the above. But listen, there's no more worthy cause than supporting struggling students to manage their education a bit easier, to be able to free their mind to study and not worry about not having enough money on a day-to-day basis. So this course really is very close to my heart because I know I would not have been here without a scholarship. So please, let's all dig deep. Let's dig deep and support what is a very, very worthy cause. Enjoy the rest of the evening. And thanks, Fiona. By the way, I'm sitting outside. It's sub-zero, at least for a Gambian. Enjoy the evening.
As the proud Chancellor of the University of Aberdeen, it's a huge pleasure to join you, albeit virtually, at this celebration of the world-renowned Scottish poet Robert Burns. Although the evening's festivities took place remotely, I do hope you've all had a wonderful time. After all, one thing we know about Burns is that he knew how to enjoy himself, even in the most adverse of circumstances. But he also had a genius for understanding the plight of others and expressing the suffering and hopes of what he called brotherhood of man. I'm quite sure, therefore, that the great bard would have heartily approved of this evening, of its fun, light-heartedness, and also of its compassionate aim of supporting the Development Trust's work in extremely challenging days. I should like to thank everyone who has made this programme possible. Your talent, hard work, and incredible skills have created a much-needed tonic for these trying times. Please keep going, stay strong, stay safe, and carry the inspiring spirit of Burns Night with you throughout the year. Let me leave you with an extract from one of my favourite Burns poems, My Heart's in the Highlands. Farewell to the Highlands, farewell to the North, the birthplace of valour, the country of worth. Wherever I wander, wherever I rove, the hills of the Highland, forever I love. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a-chasing a deer, a-chasing the wild deer, and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go. Farewell to the mountains covered with snow. Farewell to the straths and green valleys below. Farewell to the forests and wild hanging woods. Farewell to the torrents and loud pouring floods. My heart's in the Highlands, my heart is not here. My heart's in the Highlands, a-chasing the deer, a-chasing the wild deer and following the roe. My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I go.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness, for your beautiful rendition of My Heart's in the Highlands. Well, we've just about come to the end of our extraordinary Burns Supper and do hope that you've enjoyed this time with us. We're all trying to do our bit during these challenging times, and it would be tremendous if you can help the university in any way. Here's Georgia May Drennan, a fourth-year student who sang earlier with her dad, George, to give you some information.
If you've already donated to the university's COVID-19 525 bursary fund, then thank you from the bottom of our hearts. If you'd like to give to this special fund now, then please visit abdn.ac.uk/COVID-19 fund, where you can donate online. Or, if you prefer, you can send a cheque to the University of Aberdeen Development Trust at Powysgate, College Bounds, Aberdeen, AB24 3UG. Please make cheques payable to University of Aberdeen Development Trust and enclose a note with your name and contact details. Your support makes all the difference to students who are struggling financially because of the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your support. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this extraordinary Burns Supper. Here is the University of Aberdeen Chamber Choir to sing us out with Robert Burns' Song of International Friendship, Auld Lang Syne. Sláinte!